I'm excited. I'm really excited to be here. This is my first time in Korea. My favorite movies in the world are South Korean films, so it's just so exciting to be here for me. And it's also the kickoff of the entire, Guardians of the Galaxy Vol.3 World Tour. So this is great, and it's also very meaningful because this is the last Guardians film with us, and we're sharing a lot of laughs and also a lot of tears.
I feel great. I'm so grateful to be back here in Korea. We have so many friends and fans in Korea. It's just fantastic to be here. It's the perfect place to start. And yeah, May 3rd, the movie will be the first territory where the movie will kick off on May 3rd. And so it makes sense that we're the first stop on the press tour.
And Karen?
I'm so excited to be here. I love the culture so much. I love the movies. I love the food. I've actually never been here, so this is really exciting to get to see it for the first time, and hopefully we get to explore the city if we have some time. But yeah, so excited.
I'm very excited to be here. Korea is very special to me because my mother was Korean. And also, the movie comes out on May 3rd, which is also my birthday. So
Oh, happy birthday!
yeah, it's kind of amazing. Thank you, guys.
It's the first time you being here as a team of our Guardians of the Galaxy in Korea. And this film, Volume 3, holds a special place in the MCU. And you know how Korean fans are crazy about Guardians of the Galaxy. So I know we kind of touched upon how you feel about being in Korea, but perhaps, special message to Korean fans, starting with you, James?
One of the things I've loved for many years now, I really think that in a lot of ways, cinema changes over the years, and different countries have this great importance in cinema, from the French New Wave, in the 60s to the sort of, grounded and experimental films of the 70s in the United States and, Hong Kong in the 90s. And I think over the past, decade or even more, for me, South Korean films have been the best in cinema. And movies like, Parasite and Mother is one of my favorite movies of all time. And Villainess is an amazing action movie that we, actually were inspired a lot for this film. So I think it's exciting to be able to be here and to meet people and to get to know all of you, but also to share our movie with you, which is, inspired by so many Korean filmmakers and so much Korean art that it's great to be able to share the movie with you guys.
It'll be fabulous if you can get some inspiration from visiting this country and from meeting people while you can.
It's a really special time. I feel globally, Korea is having an extraordinary moment right now, not only in the movies, but also in music with a lot of really great pop bands. I mean, I think, Pink Black was just opening at Coachella, or Blackpink was opening at Coachella, which is pretty exciting. And New Jeans, we were listening to it, and I was like, this is actually very good pop music. I feel like it's exciting to that there are massive cultural moments happening right now in Korea, and I mean, you've been doing amazing things here for a long time, but to be so embraced around the entire world and in the West, it's a really special time, and so, that's very exciting.
How about you, Karen?
I am also a really big fan of the film Mother. Oh, it's so good. One day I want to do a film like that. I've been listening to Blackpink this morning and BTS, getting in the spirit. Can we meet them? That would be cool. I love Korea. Thank you.
I remember watching Old Boy by Park Chan-wook when it came out in 2003, I think. And I loved it so much, and it's one of the movies that made me want to do movies, want to be in this industry. And I love Bong Joon-ho, of course. I'm a huge fan. And I love Korean food, and I'm obsessed with the little anchovies, I don't know how you pronounce it, but I think it's like molchiboku, right? The little like fried anchovies, like sweet and salty and spicy at the same time. I love that. And also in French, it's it sounds like the French merci beaucoup, which means thank you very much. So that's how I kind of remember it. That's it.
Yesterday, Pam was sending me, she was here for a day before us, and so she was sending me all sorts of videos of all the Korean food she was eating as she was eating it.
It'll be awesome if you could share the videos on your Instagram as well.
Oh my God. It's kind of like boring. It's just like, hurry up. Like, there is like bulgogi. You have to eat it and come like already.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your love towards Korea, but we have to take questions from the floor from now on.
Question goes to James. Watching the trailer and as well as the footage that we watched yesterday, I can see that, we go back to the origin of Rocket. And how did you come to choose the origin of Rocket to be at the finale of the series and the reason why? And second question is about the score, the background music, the music of the series, and we've listened to some of the masterpieces through your films, and I'm sure that was a challenge for you because this time around, how the expectation is really high, the bar is really up, you gotta, feed in what they want, and, how was the process for you and how did you select those music?
Sure. Well, Rocket is really important to me. I relate to Rocket a lot. He's an angry little guy who doesn't feel like he belongs in this world. He doesn't know how to connect to other people, and that has been me for much of my life. And he's the ultimate outsider, and okay. It's making me kind of cry. I really love Rocket. And when I took this job on back in 2011 or 2012, it was Rocket's story that drove me to tell the Guardians story. We think of the Guardians as funny and fun and comedy, music and joy, and all those things are real. But at the same time, there's also this very sad little creature at the center of it. And this movie is an exploration of that sad creature, how he came to be, how he became so angry, where he came from, and where he's going to go eventually, and sort of tells the story of all of these other characters around that story of Rocket. So I feel like, we knew that this was the last iteration of these Guardians. This was the last Guardians movie with this group of Guardians, and that we had to really finish it off strong. It had to be the best one. It had to be beautiful, and I feel really great about it. For the music, the music was really hard. I have to admit, it was the hardest part of this movie for me. I kept changing the songs again and again because exactly what you said, I felt pressure to keep this high bar that we've had with two big hit soundtracks on the first two movies. And this was a different soundtrack because the first two movies were based on songs that Meredith Quill gave to her baby boy, Peter Quill. And this one was given to Peter from Yondu off of a Zune. And so we had music from all different eras, not just the 70s, but we have 70s songs, 80s songs, 90s songs, and beyond in the soundtrack. And so it was a much more difficult feat, but I actually think that it might be the best soundtrack. And so far, the few people that have seen it seem to think that's the case. So I'm excited for you guys to hear it.
This question is for all of you. Speaking of the music, this series really made the old pop kind of a global phenomenon. And I would like to ask each one of you your favorite song in the film. Okay, and then after that, I have another question for James. Among many MCU directors, you are one of those, master director with stellar directing skills. And it looks like with this film especially, we really go back to the action scenes and all the spectacles that fans always wanted and fans always are hungry for from the MCU films. So we would like to ask you your opinion about the direction of MCU after the Endgame. Where is it heading, and what kind of role this film will play when it hits it becomes a global box office hit.
Sure. Movie.
My first concert that I ever saw as a kid was Radiohead, and so "Creep," which is the song that opens the film, it's definitely a different tone than what you're used to in a Guardians of the Galaxy film, but this film in itself has a unique tone, and that really, to me, is probably my favorite song because it reminds me of the time that I saw Radiohead when I was a teenager.
For me, it's the same. It's Creep. And I think it opens the movie in such a beautiful and emotional way. And I think we all, at times feel like creeps and like weirdos. And we feel like we don't belong, and we feel like, we're different. And I felt that way also. and I feel like it's universal, you know. And yeah, and sometimes I say, you know, we're not superheroes, we're super weirdos, you know. So this goes with, you know, that touches me a lot. This song.
I heard from one of your interviews that every time you watched the opening sequel, you cried at the music.
Which one?
Every time you watch the opening sequence.
I mean, I cry a lot, so it's possible.
She cries at everything. It's not. But not as much as Karen, I don't think. Karen cries the most on set.
I am always ready to cry. I don't know what that says about me. It's just always bubbling under the surface. But it's good. It's cathartic. Okay, my favorite song is also Creep, but maybe I should choose a different one. I quite liked one I haven't heard before. It was the I Care a Lot. Dun, dun,
Yeah,
dun.
We Care a Lot by Faith No
We
More.
Care a Lot.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. That one is good.
It's a good song. My favorite is, also love Creep, and it's one of my favorite recordings, actually. It's an acoustic recording, which is not widely known, was only very limited release, so being able to get it out there into the world is really cool. I think Florence and the Machine's Dog Days Are Over is probably one of the top 5 best songs of the past 20 years, pop songs. So I love that. But there's also a song by the Mowglis in the movie that played at my wedding, where all of these guys were in the audience, and it played as my wife and I, right after we had our first kiss, as we walked off the stage together. So San Francisco's the name of the song. So that one's incredibly important to me. You know, I think that we really knew it was very important that if we were going to make this movie and go through everything that we had to make this movie, it was going to be the biggest and yet also the smallest Guardians film. And by small, I simply mean it's the most personal. It really is about these characters interacting with each other, and the stakes are the highest, but the stakes are is the life of Rocket and the few other characters in the movie. So it's gigantic in one respect, but so emotional and so intimate and so close that it was much different. And I don't know how it's going to affect the MCU going forward. I know that the Guardians, you know, this group of Guardians isn't going to be there in that way anymore. But I also think that, you know, hopefully, I think I would like to see more MCU movies that have more, and, you know, just big spectacle films and superhero movies in general that have more emotion to them, as well as the big action and the spectacle. I want to also really care for the characters. I like the humor, I like all of that, but what I really want to see is a little bit more emotion in the movies, and I think that would be really great.
제가 질문을 한 가지 드려보도록 하겠습니다. 크리스 프랫님에게 질문하는 건데요.
This is for you, Chris. You know, watching the trailer, I could see that your character kind of reached the, you know, he looks mature. He looks more mature than before. And there's a scene where the character really explodes with emotions. So perhaps this time around, you know, perhaps your focus in terms of characterization changed. So what was your focus in terms of the preparation? And what makes Star-Lord in the Volume 3 different from the previous 2?
Thank you for using the term mature. I don't get called mature that often, so I appreciate it. The preparation for this version of Star-Lord really comes down to, like any time you're preparing a project, the evidence in the script of what you need to accomplish. I really appreciate James Gunn's writing and directing style, and we're so grateful that he's done all 3 films. The characters learn lessons in every movie, but a mistake that some movies make is they force the characters to learn the same lessons over and over again, and they don't honor the growth of the previous lesson having been learned. And I think in our trilogy, that growth has continued to build on top of the previous growth. And so we are seeing a more mature version of Star-Lord. He's been through so much. The first film focuses on the origin story of the Guardians of the Galaxy, of a young man learning to care about something more than himself, be part of a team, and to explore his maternal lineage. The second film focuses on the paternal lineage of his father. And then the third film really is about self. And in this story, Peter Quill has been through a lot. The love of his life that defines who he is no longer there. And so there's a bit more pathos than previously. You're seeing that Quill is despondent and drinking a lot and unreliable, and that is the reason that the Guardians of the Galaxy get into the mess that they get into through the course of this film. And he's not the leader that he needs to be, and he spends the rest of the film trying to make that up. So it really just comes down to focusing on the script and understanding what each scene calls for. And in this scene, there is more, or in this film, there's more emotion than previously just because of the nature of the story that's being told.
This is for all three actors. So this is the last iteration with this group of this series. So you've been living as this character for almost 10 years, each one of you. So tell us how you feel about that, and also the feeling of really saying goodbye to your character.
I don't want to say goodbye. I feel sad. I feel really satisfied with the whole experience, and it's been incredible to work with these people and to speak James's words, his incredible writing, and then be directed by him. But I love this character, so I kind of feel it's like very bittersweet, but also it's been an amazing run, and I just feel really fortunate to have gotten to play this role.
I feel very grateful to have been part of these movies. I appeared in the second movie, and actually my dream was to be first in, maybe like a superhero movie or like something like X-Men. And then I saw Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, and I was like, no, this is my favorite movie now, part of this Marvel universe. So when I got to audition, and then when I got the role, it just changed my life. And to have been welcomed to this family with the other Guardians of the Galaxy, it was really, really, really special, and it changed my life. So I'm just grateful forever for James and for the cast and for this whole experience. And and I had so much fun playing Mantis, and we'll see what happens, but I'm happy with closing a chapter as well. So yeah, it's just beautiful memories.
I really can't think of anyone else who can pull that off better than you. And Chris.
Yeah, I thought we'd get to see Forever, but Forever's gone away. And it's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. Those are lyrics from a song I thought we'd get to see. Okay, anyways. There's a lot of emotion that comes into it. Gratitude, first and foremost, for not only how much this role has changed my career, but also for the friendships and the relationships that I've forged over the past 10 years playing this character. I'm desperately trying to savor every moment, to really have fun with my friends and my Guardians family. And I'm very, very satisfied with the work that we've done, very proud even of what we've accomplished, and truly eager for the fans around the world to finally see this film. This has been a mountain of work for 10 years that James has climbed and brought all of us along, and now we're really at the top of this mountain, and the view is beautiful.
We've been so grateful to have each of you as your character.
The first question is for you, James. This is the third film in the series, but this is you chose Korea as the first. I don't know if you chose, but Korea has been chosen. Oh, you chose it. That's great. So you chose Korea as the first destination of your global tour. So why? Why coming to Korea for the first as a first destination? And also, Chris, it would be great if you can kind of just explain a little bit without spoiling the movie about being reunited with Gamora, because that's a surprise. It'd be great if you can explain that.
So I came to Korea. We came to Korea because I wanted to come to Korea. So I've always, I've just, like I said before, I really am an enormous fan of Korean cinema, and I've met a lot of people from Korea. I have a lot of friends in Korea. I've just never been here. And so I was excited because of that. But I also knew that the Korean fans have been amazing and wonderful supporters of the Guardians all throughout the time. So I thought, we're only going to do this one last time, so let's go to Korea because we haven't been here yet. So I'm really excited that, like we said, we could kick off here. I'll be back.
Yeah.
Oh, and yes, as far as being reunited with Gamora, wow, it is truly the heart of our storyline in this film. If you'll remember at the end of Avengers Endgame, there's a great war sequence that happens, and Quill, who believed that Gamora had died, is reunited with Gamora, and he can't believe that it's her, the love of his life, standing in the flesh in front of him, someone he thought he would never see again. And she does not know, is this okay to talk about?
Yeah.
She does not know who he is, because the version of her that has come back is a version of her that never met Peter Quill. So the love that I've felt for her and that has helped to define who I am is unrequited, and that's a very painful place to be. And especially because Peter Quill knows how much finding this family meant to Gamora, because it meant the same to him. It was what defined who we were. The family that we became was really rooted around the love that we had for one another, and it was a family that we'd found, and I so desperately want, because I love her so much, for her to feel that again and to want that again. And so the journey on this film is Quill trying to put the genie back in the bottle, and you get to see whether or not that works.
This question is for everybody. James, you mentioned that in Volume 3, you did not waste a second. Not a second was wasted. And, it's been read in the many interviews that cast members also praised the film as a masterpiece. So it'd be great if you can, one by one, tell us which element or which aspect of the film really resonated with you so powerfully that made you say something like that.
There's so many pieces that resonate. I think the relationship that Chris was talking about with Gamora is so touching. There's a scene in the movie that makes my wife cry every single time she's seen it, which has been 15 times or so far. There's the relationship between Nebula and Drax and Mantis, and Nebula's very harsh on them, and they're both goofballs, really. And so, that interaction is a beautiful thing. But there is a scene in the trajectory of Rocket's story where Rocket, something that we haven't talked about very much, but Rocket has, not only through the Guardians movies, but through the Avengers movies, through all of through the Thor film, through all of them, it was very important to me that Rocket is still he doesn't really empathize with other people very well. He has feelings for his friends, and he'll go out of his way for them. But outside of that, his compassion doesn't extend very far in this world. And this is a story of why that is, and kind of how that changes in certain ways. And so that story of Rocket is really the one that every time I see it, I go, oh, I'm so glad that I chose to do this film series, and I'm so glad that I came back for the third one, because that's the story that really is the most meaningful to me, although every single character has their moment. These guys, Gamora, Kraglin, Drax, they each have a story that Groot, that is fulfilled in this last episode of Guardians.
Truly the catharsis of 3 films coming together. There's something very special about serialized cinema, because this is really a 9-hour-long story, and we're now getting the 3rd chapter of the same story, and that's really extraordinary. And to me, which speaks to me the most, if I'm going to take my own storyline and put it aside, I think I have to speak to the origin story of Rocket. I remember early on, 9-10 years ago on production of the first film, there was a moment where Peter Quill is put into a jail cell, and Rocket takes off of his yellow prison outfit, and you see these cybernetic enhancements beneath the fur. You see the amount of pain and struggle and torture that went into turning this strange little creature into who he is. And I remember James very adamantly expressing to me the importance that we feel empathy for this character, because it's hard to imagine now, but Rocket is an animated character, and up until Rocket came out, most animated characters didn't evoke the emotional response that was required by Rocket in order for this film to work. If it's just a cartoon Rocket and you're looking at, you know, Daffy Duck or Bugs Bunny or some animated thing that doesn't really cause you to feel true emotion in your heart, then it wouldn't work. And so I remember seeing Rocket and knowing that it was important to exhibit the pain that you and the empathy you would feel for looking at anybody who'd been through so much. And so now we really get to see that come full circle. We get to explore the origin of Rocket, and for that reason, it really moves me and makes me very proud of James for putting so much trust and excited that Marvel was willing to put so much trust in allowing the story of this animated character, but who is a very real character, to carry the weight and the emotional through line of this third installment.
I know he should
joined
have
by
his own
Rocket in
chair
this trip.
here, like a little chair here, little Rocket, like asking
Say hello to
questions.
him.
I want that to happen. I'm just like, I'm kind of like sad. Rocket, where are you?
Karen?
Well, actually, me and Pom read the script together for the first time. So we sat in my living room and both cried at the same time, laughed at the same time. It was all of the emotions, wasn't it?
And then we hid the script in the garden, I think,
Oh yeah,
right?
that's right.
Did we
Oh, yeah.
bury the script
Well,
or
Pom is so
something?
paranoid about people finding the Marvel scripts because they're top secret.
I
that
love to
she
hide
asked-
stuff and then I can't find it. I'm like a squirrel.
She does that a lot. Anyway, she asked me to bury it in my garden. I actually didn't, but it is. I actually don't know where it is now. Oh no. Oh well, the film's
You're
about to come
fired.
out, so it's all right. But no, what really resonates with me is just all of the characters. Like, everyone is just given so much care and weight and time and development, and like, you know, it's that's a testament to your writing, James. It's like everyone just has such an amazing arc, and there's so many dimensions to each character that I just connect with everyone in the movie on some level.
Yeah, what moved me a lot, it's Rocket's resilience too. And when you see the flashbacks of his childhood and what he's been through and how much he suffered and how he was able to go through that and when you go through trauma too, you develop like something like a little bit like sarcastic, you laugh through the tears. And I think I relate to that. And I think it's such a beautiful story. And, yeah. It's also emotional to talk about this right now.
This question is for Pom, Karen, and James. We watched the footage and the action sequence is just amazing. And Nebula, you really, it's so striking how your action sequences were so amazing on the big screen. So could you tell us what you're most excited for the audience to see in terms of the action that Nebula is going to carry out? And Mantis, and also, you appear in the footage that we watched. You appear in the latter part, but so what do you want the audience to look forward to seeing in terms of your action sequence too? And James, it'd be great if you can share the birth or how Cosmo was able to join the gang.
Okay, I'm really excited for people to see Nebula's new arm in action because it's powerful, and that's all.
Mantis gets to kick ass, but she was already kicking ass in the holiday special. Thank you, James.
You're welcome.
And so she kicks ass, but also there's comedy with the fight, which is really cool to do. So, yeah.
And Cosmo is a telekinetic dog that appears in the comics. She's played by Maria Bakalova, who was in the second Borat film. And I was always really excited. I love dogs, so I was always really excited to bring her to the screen. She has a very special, friendship with Kraglin in the movie that you get to watch play out. And so she was the Guardians now live in Nowhere, the giant celestial head that used to belong to the Collector in the first movie, and he sells it to them, and that's where they live, and they sort of collect all of these outsiders from around the galaxy that have nowhere else to go. And they all live in this house, in this head, and Cosmo came with the head.
분들께 한마디씩 짧게 한국 관객들에게 전하는 메시지 들어보도록 하겠습니다.
Where do I look? Hi, Korean fans. Mantis loves you.
Hello, Korean fans. Nebula also loves you very much. She doesn't love that many people, so that's a pretty big deal.
Thank you, Korea, for being so welcoming always and being such passionate fans. We're so grateful to have you to start our press tour here. It's a perfect place to start our press tour. And thank you so much. We truly love you. We made this movie for you. So come check it out. It's May 3rd, and we promise it's truly going to be the most amazing cinematic experience of the whole year.
Yeah, I really hope that Korea enjoys seeing this movie, even a small fraction as much as we enjoyed making it. This one is 100% for the fans. This is for all the people that have supported us over the years, and I am so excited that the Korean fans are a big part of that. So I can't wait for you guys to see this in theaters on May 3rd. The very first people in the world to see it.